Hello, my name is Celine Submergent and this is my self-reflection presentation. So this presentation is about your verbal and non-verbal tendencies personally. So the first thing we're going to talk about today is my verbal communication. And for my verbal communication, the first thing I think a tendency of mine is how I do like verbal clutter basically. So what that means is like I just did. Basically, whenever you're constantly saying like, kind of, yes, like, it's like whenever you get mixed up with your words. So whenever you do that, it almost seems like you're not clear in what you're saying. You seem unclear, confused, sometimes unprofessional, like you're not confident in what you're saying. So I think people will interpret that like you just not that you're not credible, it's just like you are not confident in what you are talking about with that person. So I think that's my first thing. I need to cut saying like and out of my sentences, as I'm sure you're going to hear multiple times throughout this presentation. So the second thing is pragmatics. And what's pragmatics? We learned that pragmatics is like slang. So basically we all do it, we all know that we do it. I just don't think that people realize how often we do it. So in what sense? What's slang? The word hot, for example. For most people that's temperature rise, right? Like it's hot, it's cold. But in like slang, it's like, obviously we all know, it's like when you're calling somebody hot, you're like, that person is hot. So that's slang. And I don't think I noticed how often I use slang until I actually like sat there and try to figure out what's part of slang and what's not, right? So I think the way that people might see that is like, oh, you're young and you're basic, typical, like you're just like a millennial, like, like that's how slang is. Like whenever you use like the words, the more obvious ones, maybe like low key, high key, tea, shook, like stuff like that. So I think like it makes you almost same thing, like it makes you seem a little unprofessional depending on where you're using these this type of language. Like you can use it with your friends and whatever, but if you're at a job or like you're at school, when you have to be professional, it's a very like you shouldn't do it. And I feel like it's kind of sort of become like a part of my vocabulary at this point, which so bad tendency. So moving on, we're going to talk about nonverbal communication. And for nonverbal, the two things that I picked was facial expressions and paralanguage. How? Okay, so it kind of goes hand in hand for me in the sense of facial expression. It's like I feel like I'm never either smiling nor am I like angry. Like I just have like a neutral face constantly, and that kind of makes me seem like I'm like very uninterested or bored, or I don't really care what you're talking about. But that's really not the case for me. I'm just constantly listening, but like that's just how I pay attention. Like I don't have crazy emotions like up or down or like crazy excited or crazy like confused. Like I'm just trying to listen. So I think my facial expressions sometimes like make me seem like someone I'm maybe not, or like it's just interpreted wrong, I feel like a lot of the times. And then moving forward from that, it's like paralanguages, it's almost the same thing except with voice. It's like I have like not a monotone voice, but it's like I'm not like, hi, how are you, or like or angry either. I'm just so very like the same or calm, and I feel like that plays a role in how people see me or try to interpret who I am. And then so finally, the last question that was asked was, what can you do to practice your verbal and non-verbal communications? And what I wrote for verbal was make your message clear, right? So don't use concise language in the sense of use fewer words, but necessary words to express your idea rather than to complicate your sentence and your words. And at that point, it's just like you're getting off track and the message is not clear rather than just being straightforward. Also, you have to consider your audience, and I think that that's the most important thing, because no matter what, for both, for nonverbal and verbal, you have to be aware of who you're talking to. If it's a child, if it's somebody older than you, if it's like your boss or whatever the case may be. I think that's the most important one that stood out to me. And then so for nonverbal, I wrote that I was talking about how it mentioned in the lecture how you should practice your nonverbal communications before you go out and do it like in public. And I think that that's one of the things, like, I guess you have to like I'm doing it again, basically, like, no matter what, you're always gonna mess up. Even in nonverbal communication, there's always gonna be times where a misunderstanding happens, because it's normal, right? Because you're not speaking what you want. Like, at the end of the day, people are interpreting it as best as they can. So at the end of the day, there's always going to be misunderstanding, and it's just how it is in nonverbal communication. But yeah, that was my whole presentation. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for hearing me out, and thank you.